Tommy, what was your top takeaway from the Patriots win over the Browns?
That they had to weather the pressure of Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns pass rush, and they did a great job of that and showed poise, especially Drake Maye and the offensive line to an extent as well, but showed poise and resiliency and didn't let that get in their heads. Additionally, the Drake Maye pick, which we hadn't seen in several weeks, he rebounded nicely from. Mm-hmm. It was not something that caused an avalanche of mistakes after.
Yeah, this is the kind of game I think you love to come away with a win if you're Mike Vrabel, because there are still so many things that you can try to correct, right? That wasn't close to their best game. And they still blew out a team that, we know is not very good, but does have an excellent defense. But between the mistakes they made offensively, only 9 points in that first half, special teams, you miss an opportunity to recover an onside kick. You have a 15-yard punt at one point. There was all sorts of stuff that needs to be cleaned up moving forward, and yet they're good enough, Trenni, that they can blow out a bad football team.
Yeah, I don't want to make every week about Drake Maye, but something new stands out every week. Like, he could have become, and I'm trying to remember today, I'm like, who's the guy that was seeing ghosts? Was it Sam Darnold? And I was told, yes, it was Sam Darnold. Like, that could have happened to Drake Maye. They were in his face, and they were in his face fast. In particular, Phil, Myles Garrett, and the resiliency, the poise, the confidence that he shows, to me, he's light years beyond, basically, he's not even a 2-year player, he's like a 1.5-year player.
Yeah, it's really remarkable because, not only do you have to just worry about where Myles Garrett is on every snap, but when he is winning as frequently as he's winning, and it's basically 1 out of every 3 passing plays that you have where he's getting into the backfield, that could bother you. The interception could bother you, Tom. But he just lets it roll off his back, and he makes big plays. And this is what the best quarterbacks in the NFL do right now. Patrick Mahomes makes mistakes. Josh Allen makes mistakes. But those guys are so good, they put it behind them, and they make explosive plays to help their teams win.
And I think this is another game, and we'll probably get deeper into it with McDaniels at the beginning of the second half, but I think it's the comfort that Drake Maye has with what he's being asked to do and the ability of the coaching staff, McDaniels leading it with play calls, to say, all right, these are the things that we can do to exploit what they're doing to us. It might take a minute, and it did. In the second half is when they really lit a fire offensively under Drake Maye and the offense in general. But I think that the composure and him being able to go to the sidelines and not say, I'm seeing ghosts, but being told, here's what's happening, and him understanding what's happening makes a massive difference.
We are going to get to Josh McDaniels, because one of the questions I had, and you talked about them exploiting defenses, particularly still sometimes get off to slow starts, struggle a little bit in that first quarter, but they tend to pick up momentum. And obviously going into this season, we were like, the talent's okay, it's not great, that's going to hurt them. So is the talent better than we thought, Curran? Or is Josh McDaniels just making the most of the talent that's on the field?
I think the talent is better than we thought because you didn't get a chance to see it used in the ways that it was most useful. Kayshon Boutte is a downfield receiver. He's not a slot. He's not a short and intermediate guy. Demario Douglas does have slot capabilities, but he's turning into a player down the field. Mac Hollins is a player that we didn't understand, even though he had a terrific season under Josh McDaniels as a big third down, chain moving and red zone threat. He's become that here. So we didn't know what they would provide because we hadn't seen it. We could only project.
Yeah, the talent is, I think, a little bit better because it's being maximized now. And it's being maximized in part because of what Josh McDaniels is doing and cooking up ways for those guys to be at their best. But it's being maximized by the quarterback. You have a quarterback who is able to lift up everybody else around him. So I don't know if we were all that far off in terms of our assessment of their talent. I think we were far off in terms of how good we thought Drake Maye would be before the season began. I can remember being at this very desk, Trenni, and getting laughed at because I had Drake Maye as the 14th quarterback that I would like to have going into the 2025 season. Turns out I was way off. He should have been much higher on that list. Nobody knew how good he would be, and he's making everybody around him better.
And I had him around 20. Presuming that he would be 16 to 12 in that realm. Until I saw it, I wasn't going to put my chips on it. And now I would say 12 is pretty freaking low.
So what is Josh McDaniels doing with Drake Maye, Phil, and the offense that they're able to put up? I mean, they're trying to put up, like we used to say, God, if they could just put up 21 points, it would be. Now they're putting up 30, 35 points week in and week out.
Well, he's taking really good care of the football while remaining aggressive. So I give Josh McDaniels credit for that, allowing Drake Maye to be who he is, which is that big game hunter. That's part of his core. But he's still taking care of the football. I know he had the pick the other day, but in all of their wins leading up to Sunday's game, he was essentially flawless. And it was a streak that you knew Tom wouldn't be able to be sustained. But the fact that he's allowed him to keep this style of play in a new offense, and in an offense, quite frankly, that's changing every week because they are still a game plan team, Josh McDaniels deserves a lot of credit for that.
He does deserve a lot of credit. It's interesting, again, Mike Vrabel was asked about McDaniels and the play calling, and frequently throughout this season, we've seen Mike answer that question with everybody else before Josh, and then at the end give a nod to Josh, and he did so again today. Talked about the collaboration of the coaching staff in general on the offensive side and gave credit to Josh as being the guy who will eventually make the decision based on the information that he's given. So, given that it's coming from the head coach, I would say that it's the group around him. Ashton, who we continually credit.
Ashton Grant, quarterback's coach.
Escaped me. But I think all of those things are, if he's going to keep mentioning it, Vrabel, then we have to give the credit and spread it around. But I do think McDaniels deserves a massive amount of credit for altering his style of offense to meet Drake Maye more than halfway across the aisle.
I know they don't do first half MVPs, but if they did, would Drake Maye be yours?
Yeah, I think he would, because the only other guy would be Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor is having a great season for the team with the best record in football. He's got 12 touchdowns. He's well ahead of everybody else in terms of yards from scrimmage. But if you look at what running backs do compared to what quarterbacks do, running backs have one job when they get the ball: find the hole and hit it. Yeah. Quarterbacks have 37 jobs when they get to the line of scrimmage, never mind all the jobs they have off the field during the week with game plan, everything else. I'd say the team that's improved the most and the player who's helped the most would be Drake Maye.
I just feel so vindicated because I feel like I convinced Tom of this. I wouldn't stop talking about how Drake Maye's been the best player in football through the first half of the season. Last night during our post-game show, I would say maybe the only other guy aside from Taylor who's having a great season that you would put in the conversation would be Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But the record's not quite as good. And I think you could make the argument like the team around Patrick Mahomes is better and they are just more well-established. And so in terms of value, what Drake Maye specifically is doing to help a team that nobody expected a whole lot from before the season began, to me, that makes him most valuable. All
right, guys, time now for the Ford Big Board. Here are your up-to-date Super Bowl odds. Yeah, we're talking about that again. Chiefs are at the top at plus 500, followed by the Lions at plus 650. You have to go all the way, though, to plus 2,800 to find the Patriots. All right, this hot streak has led us to ask, is New England a legitimate Super Bowl contender? 84% of you say, oh, yeah. 16% say not yet, need to see more. I actually voted in this poll while I was watching you guys on PGL yesterday, and I'm in the now 14%, Phil, where I said, not yet, need to see more, only because maybe I have PTSD. I remember teams that started, even Tom Brady-led teams that started 8-0 and looked incredible like world beaters, and then they kind of fell off. The competition, the level of competition has not been great or very high. And so I guess I just still need to see just a little bit more.
I think that's totally fair. I wouldn't rule it out. Let me start by saying that. I know you're not doing that either. But, it's almost like the Hall of Fame debate. There are a lot of guys that you could put in the Hall of Fame. I'm a small Hall guy. I'm also a small list of contenders guy when it talks about going to the Super Bowl. So for me, the list of true contenders is about 3 teams deep. And I would look at the Chiefs and I would look at the Bills because they've been around there and they've sniffed it at least. And I would look at the Eagles, and that's sort of it right now. They're in their own tier. The Patriots are in that tier below them, but I need to see them beat some other teams that are on that tier, either Bills or Chiefs, which I know they're not going to have the opportunity to play in the regular season. The Bills they'll play later this season. They've already beat. But I want to see them beat a couple more teams. Is it the Bucs, Tom? Is it the Ravens later in the year before I put them on that level?
The combined record of their opponents right now is 20-40. So they're losing twice as often as they're winning. Right. So to me, that's the caveat. And I'm the same way with the team in general as I was with Drake Maye before the season. Could they be a Super Bowl contender in terms of getting there, sniffing around, entering the playoffs as a team that might be able to get there? Yes. The likelihood of them raising the trophy, I think the odds are fair, because you have to see teams establish themselves in so many more venues than the Patriots have. Yes, the Buffalo win was beyond anybody's expectation, and it stands apart as one that you could say, see, they did that. But it is repetitive, and that's why teams like the Eagles or Kansas City or any number of teams, Baltimore even, you'd say, well, even though they have a horrendous record, if they were here with a fully stocked team, would you expect in a playoff game the Ravens at the Patriots to win that game? I think Vegas would say the Ravens would probably be -1.